Well, let's talk a little bit about Thesauri. I think it's fair to say that since we're going to cover a number of different Thesauri, and furthermore, I'm in a place that people from around the world come for a great sight to see, that you're now in a real sight for Thesauries. So what is a thesaurus? There's two kinds of thesauri that we'll work our way through. One is kind of the garden variety thesaurus, and the other one is really the professional thesaurus. And the professional thesaurus is what we're aiming for, but I want to work up to it through through sort of the garden variety thesaurus. And from the standpoint of this course, you can really think of thesauri as either the culmination or really the beginning. It's the culmination in the sense that a thesaurus brings together all the different kinds of access structures that we've talked about in the course. And so it's a nice cap. It's a nice capping experience to the course to work with this thesaurus and see all the different access structures and work simultaneously in a relatively simple structure. So a thesaurus is a culmination, but a thesaurus is also a start, because when you work with a thesaurus, you're beginning to work with sort of real-life access structures and real-life information. And what I've done so far is to some extent to shield you from that by saying that we're going to work on hierarchies, we're going to work on indexes, we're going to work on cross-references and sequences separately. The thesaurus brings those all together, and it really gets you started looking at professional level information structures. So it's a start and it's also a culmination. What else do I want to say? So, the thesaurus itself is interesting because it can function both as an info base, an entire info base into itself, or it can function as the access structure into some other info base. So let's look at it first of all as the access structure into some other info base. And this is the way that it's most commonly thought of. A thesaurus in general is a set of phrases that semantically encompass some subject matter. So suppose you're an astronomer. There are all sorts of terms that astronomers use, and those terms all fit together in some way. They all define the semantic space of astronomy. And that's how a thesaurus functions as well. It functions to define that semantic space, to put all the terms in the right relationship so that you can make your way through that semantic space. So in that sense, it's an access structure to the semantic space. It's the let's call it the very sophisticated hyper index that allows you to go from all the different terms of the discipline that you're working with to the specific subject matter. So it categorizes and it clarifies the subject matter, and it also points you into the subject matter. So you can think about it as a very nice comprehensive access structure into the subject matter of some discipline, some field. On the other hand, you can think of it as an info base itself. Each of the terms is its own item. A term, for example, in astronomy, let's take the term quasar, just to pull one out of my hat. The term quasar itself is not only just a word that allows you to get to information in the field of astronomy, it's a concept itself. It's a whole item itself. It has its own structure internally. What are the different kinds of quasars, and what are some images of quasars, and what's the definition of a quasar, and what quasars have been noticed in the galaxy, et cetera, on and on. What's the history of the study of quasars? So the term quasar, and in fact any term in a thesaurus, can also be seen not only as a way into the content that it's a structure around, it can be seen as the content itself. The thesaurus can be seen as defining the discipline, and all of the words in the thesaurus are themselves items of information. So we have an information type called item, called term, and that term has a whole structure of its own. So the thesaurus can be seen as both or either a way into an info base, or the info base itself with its own access structures and its own information types. In addition, we'll look at the standard variety of thesaurus, the kind of the Roget model of thesaurus, and we'll also look at a more professional, full-featured model of thesauri. So that's what we're going to do in this part of the course.